Hello friends and welcome to Pathologic, Volume 9, Episode 18. Today's puzzle is called a Nikoji. It's not something that rings a bell for me, so let's discover it or rediscover it together as we take a look at the rules. In Nikoji, we divide the grid into regions of orthogonally connected cells, each containing exactly one clue. That simply means we're going to be drawing these green borders into the grid to subdivide the large grid into smaller regions, and exactly one clue. So we can't have 2 clues in a region, we can't have 0 clues in a region. Regions with the same clue type, meaning letter, must be exactly identical in shape, orientation, and position relative to the clue. So that is saying that this C has to be in a region of the same shape as this C. They have to be oriented the same way. They're both vertical dominoes, as you can see here. And the C's themselves have to both be in the same place within that region. Regions with different clue types may not be the same shape, counting rotations and reflections as the same. So once we have used a domino for a C, we can't have any other dominoes in the grid that do not have a C in them. We can have 2 regions of the same size, like this B and D, but you can see that they are different shapes. And since we have done a vertical 3-cell region here for this B, we can't have any horizontal 3-cell regions at all in the grid because the same clue type is identical in orientation, and different for different ones they can't be the same, even allowing for rotation. So those are kind of opposite clues that add extra restriction to the result. Those are the rules of Nikoji, so it's time to solve a puzzle. Today's Nikoji puzzle was set by Shye. We can begin, I believe, by drawing borders in between any givens because we know that no regions have 2 clues, even if those clues happened to be the same. And the next thing I'm going to do is observe that if a given clue type it has borders next to it, those same borders would need to be present on any other givens. So the A, we know that the A region doesn't continue west, north, or east, so that's got to be true of this one. We can't go west, north, or east. This one can't go west, north, or east, and in fact can't go south either. So we have identified that A is a single-celled region. B has to be in a cul-de-sac on the north side, so that's going to have to be true here too. And can't be a 1x1 because we've used that up. So it's going to go south and can't go further south because it would hit this C. That doesn't tell us whether it continues further than that, but it does give us quite a bit. The C up here can't go north or west, but it also can't go east because of this one. So let's make sure north, west, and east are walled off for all the C's. And again, just like the A, it's got to continue, or just like the B, excuse me, because of the A being a 1x1. So it goes south, and this B and C can't merge, just like that one. And this C also can't go west in that position. Can't go any further south because it would hit this H. And also there was a border already here as well. So we've got a border there. This C comes south. There's a border there and also a border here that I missed. That might be it for the moment for C. Let's look at D, which is go through these alphabetically. We can't close it off because then we've already covered that with A, so it does go south. That's just this one. Can't go west or south because we'd hit other letters. So let's mark that in, but that's exciting because we have completed this region. This is a domino. And so all the C's are dominoes. And B can't be a domino anymore, so we'll have to continue west in both cases, and this is further constrained. Let's mirror that. D comes down here, can't be a domino anymore, so it's got to go east, and can't go up for a couple of reasons. One, that we already have a wall there, so we can't have any internal walls, and there are clues there besides. So those are both walled off. Think it's time to move on in the alphabet to an E. E, we know, has walls on the left and right, and then also on the south. So it's a southern cul-de-sac, and again, can't be a 1x1. Can't be a 1x2 because we use that up. So it's at least a 1x3, and can't go any further because it would hit the B. So we've actually defined the shape of a B and the shape of an E by doing that, which is great. Okay, and that's going to tell me that D doesn't finish here either because that would be the same shape as B. So we do know this continues, but I don't think it tells us by itself which direction. I do see that we're going to get that because of this G. So I'm skipping ahead in the alphabet, shame on me, in order to take care of this. G has to come east because it can't be a 1x1. That's going to put a wall right there. And that tells me that D has to keep on going to not be the same shape as B. So it goes over to here, and that means this one does as well, which tells us that it has an east and south. Also, we've got this wall that we can reflect down here, and we can't go north because we hit the G. So we've finished off our D shape. That's an L tetramino. H is done. That's interesting without doing anything to it because there are no other letters in this area, so we can't subdivide this any further. F is in both of these spots. Okay, that's interesting. This whole area up here doesn't have any letters in it at all, and so it needs to extend south into one of these two channels, and you can see that whichever one it does, it's going to hit an F, which means that F is going to extend north, and then the other one will as well. So you can see that these two are both going to have to take up the same amount of space up here, and it's obvious how that's going to work. That is just drawing that line. So these two areas both work. It doesn't tell us whether it keeps on going a little bit further, but we've got our Egyptian two reeds hieroglyph going on up here. All right, so let's see what's going on with I and whether that finishes us off. I has to be not a single, not a domino, not a 3-cell L. It goes at least that far. But doesn't tell us whether it goes one further or not. The G might. Not a single, not a domino. Can it be a 1x3? No, the E does that. So it's 1x4, which is the biggest it can get. So we have to draw a line there, and that will tell us that the F also needs a border to itself. And that is how you solve a Nikoji.